Hey, Dr. Litwa, do you think Philo of Alexandria plays a role in Christian theology, and why?
Absolutely. It's irrefutable that Clement of Alexandria quotes Philo hundreds of times without letting you know that it's Philo, or only sometimes letting you know that it's Philo. Origen of Alexandria takes his entire scriptural allegorical program from Philo of Alexandria. Philo is and remains one of the best allegorizers ever. And this allegorical technique becomes distinctively Alexandrian, although other people use it. The people who become most famous for Christian allegory, both of so-called Old Testament and New Testament, are Clement of Alexandria and Origen of Alexandria. But long before them, it was used by Valentinus, born in Egypt. Basilides, also Alexandrian. It was used by the Nicene preacher, okay, whom I also place in Alexandria, and I'll tell you why. So, absolutely, Philo in his library is preserved by Christians in Alexandria. That's why we have it. He's absolutely documentably an influence for early Christian theology.
With this video that I found recently, it brings up my sources on Philo's Trinity to about 30. This means that I am accumulating a lot of proof to the teaching or the revelation that I give in my book, Philo's Trinity. And as you can see, this doctor really points to Philo as being very influential in the early Christianity. And of course, my sources, they don't all say the same thing. Some of my sources tell us that it was the logos of Philo that was used to give the teaching that the Son was everlasting. Some of my sources teach on the influence that Philo had on the very first Greek philosophers or early church fathers who gave us the Logos Christology. Then I have other sources that tell us how Philo did influence the development of the Trinity. So I have a lot of sources that talk about different things. But all in all, I have now so many sources that I'm very confident that we can overcome or beat anyone who has doubts about Philo's Trinity. To my knowledge, there is only 2 persons who have written against Philo's Trinity. And these you can find online. And I want to discuss these very carefully because they claim that I did not prove that Philo had anything to do with the Trinity at all, that they were not even similar. But the main part of Philo's Trinity, my book teaches that the early apostolic and Ante-Nicene fathers were the ones that took Philo's teachings, Philo's ideas, and then they developed the Trinity from there. I've never said that Philo developed the Trinity by himself and gave us the Trinity that is believed today. No, I said that his ideas and concepts and his allegorical interpretation were taken up by the apostolic and Ante-Nicene fathers, and from there they developed this doctrine of the Trinity all the way to the Council of Nicaea, 325. Moses Flores was one of the first to write a rebuttal against Philo's Trinity. And you can still find it online, a rebuttal to R. Orestes' Philo's Trinity. He never took it down, even though people have corrected him on this, and thus, that's why I am mentioning him here today. Listen to what he says. Orestes' main thesis falls drastically short when the teachings of Philo are compared with the doctrine of the Trinity. There is no correlation between the teachings except perhaps the number 3, which is hardly worth building a case on. So he was very harsh on my book, saying that my book did not teach anything, that Philo's Trinity had nothing to do with today's Trinity. But he failed to put together or to mention that my book connects Philo with the Apostolic and Ante-Nicene Fathers, and I gave names and so forth. He failed to do that. But anyway, he was not justified in doing this rebuttal because it is short-sighted. The second person that I'm mentioning here is none other than Dr. Michael Buros. And he wrote a review on Philo's Trinity. And you can also find it online. And it says, he wrote this: in the final analysis, Philo's Trinity is comprised of an indefensible and conspirational act or set of assertions that cannot bear evidential scrutiny. So again, he also, like Moses, says that I don't prove my point, that Philo's Trinity does not teach that there's anything even close to believing that Philo had anything to do with the Trinity doctrine of modern Catholics and Protestants. But as you can see, he's also very short-sighted. And Dr. Burgos, even though we talked about it, and I did a video on him to tell him that he did not do justice to my book, now I'm mentioning him again because he has not removed his review. And so I am talking today about him solely because he is wrong about what he has written. Dr. Burgos also says about Philo's Trinity, the text is filled with shallow and unscholarly presentations of ancient sources that both mischaracterize and malign writers ancient and modern. So he's also saying that I did not do a good thing with my sources, and he is totally wrong. If you follow all the sources that I place here, you'll find them teaching about Philo's strong influence on the Trinity doctrine. Of course, my research goes even deeper than all of these sources. There is no one that I know of on YouTube or online that teaches on Philo and what he taught about the concept of a threefold image of God.
Oh, absolutely. Philo in his library is preserved by Christians in Alexandria. That's why we have it. He's absolutely documentably an influence for early Christian theology.